Hey, what's going on, everybody? Thanks for stopping by once again. Practice number 7 for the Hurricanes. They were in full pads today. Have some observations, being able to watch about 40 minutes of practice or so. Hopefully you guys can hear me okay. It is a bit windy. The Metro Rail, they're cleaning up the field behind me, but I'll do my best to get through some things that I saw today. Okay, let's start off by talking about the one-on-one session that I watched. About 15 reps between the wide receivers and tight ends against the defensive backs from about the 40 to 50 yard line, and there were 2 touchdowns, 2 really good plays by the receivers. First, it was Ray Joseph beating Dylan Day on a nice play on the sideline, nice throw by Reese Poffenbarger, but Ray's been really good in these one-on-one settings, especially going deep. He does a good job of, that late break on his last cut that he needs to make, either inside or out, and just has great speed and also maintaining that speed with his cuts in his routes, and that's what I saw today on the touchdown. Then also Jakari Brown threw a nice touchdown pass to freshman tight end Elijah Lofton, who beat Zaquan Patterson on the play. And Elijah's a guy, you guys have probably seen the clip from earlier in the spring, but he's a guy that just continues to make plays in one-on-one situations. He's just they call him Little E, from Little Elijah, obviously with Elijah Arroyo there, but he's making plays, and it's something that's standing out to me, and it stood out again today. And another thing I want to mention with Elijah Lofton that I saw today was him taking some carries. They were doing some inside run, and he was the running back there. Now, it could be designed because, the lack of running backs that they have available, but just giving him a look there. And if you followed his high school career at Gorman, you might know that last year he was used as a running back at times. He had 17 carries, 9 for touchdowns. So he's certainly a red zone threat, and maybe if Miami's looking to move him around a little bit, not just catching touchdown passes down there, it might be a little bit tough with the depth chart with how it looks right now with everybody coming back at tight end. But, he's a guy that certainly, as he continues to develop, that's what you're looking forward to seeing, that maybe he can be a guy that scores touchdowns for Miami. Before I get into the 2 other things that I just mentioned, red zone and tight ends, I want to talk again about Jakari, who actually threw a really nice touchdown pass to Riley Williams. And this one was a deep pass. Again, this one was set up where they had essentially, it was 2v2, and he threw a nice pass to Riley Williams downfield. Again, a 50-yard pass, beats Miles Young on the play, but Riley coming down with that. So 2 nice throws by Jakari, which was good to see. And kind of sticking with quarterbacks, I've mentioned this before in a previous video, but I really like watching the drills that they do, and again, watching Shannon Dawson. But if I could just kind of provide a little bit of context, not able to film every single drill that I'm able to watch, but one thing I want to note is it feels like that they're doing a lot more, either off balance, off rhythm throws into the netting, kind of working on some things. And I think that's something you're seeing a lot around just in football in general, off platform throws, you're not always just going to sit back and drop back and throw. And I think that teams, I think Miami, I think they're doing that a little bit more and just working on improvising these throws. And that's what I saw today. There was a drill I hadn't seen before, not that they hadn't done it, I just hadn't seen it, but basically they had 2 quarterbacks getting ready to throw at the same time. They're facing Shannon Dawson away from the net, and then they would kind of jog or walk towards him, and then he would tell them when to throw, and then they had to quick turn and throw right into the netting. So it was fun watching that, and then also it's just kind of fun seeing the interactions of the guys, kind of competitive with each other. And I think Cam Ward is certainly a guy, haven't had a chance to hear him go through an interview at UM. He's not done that post-practice, but hearing that possibly he'll do that next week, so hopefully get a chance to get his thoughts on how things have gone at UM. But he's definitely a guy that seems very personable, kind of watching him go through drills. He seems to be having fun. He's laughing, talking quite a bit with the quarterbacks. There was also an instance that I saw earlier in the practice that there was a play, I didn't see the play happen with him and Jacoby George, and I wish I could provide what I saw on the play, but I just didn't see it. But I did see them 2 talking quite a bit. It certainly looked like Cam was saying what he saw on a play, and Jacoby they looked like they were definitely working things out in terms of what they saw, and to me that's just a way of getting to know the wide receivers even more from Cam's perspective, and just really developing that connection. And the spring ball is certainly a good chance for these opportunities to be able to talk through some things, and I'm sure they'll continue to talk through it. They actually had to split up and go to their respective position drills for the quarterbacks and wide receivers. They didn't get to finish the conversation from when I was watching them talk there. Just going back to red zone, as I want to mention, I definitely want to go in depth with an article on InsideTheU.com, so stay tuned for that this week. There's some things I want to work through and kind of give you guys some information on what I'm noticing there. But today, just watching the wide receiver drills or watching the quarterbacks and watching Coach Dawson, heavily involved in this red zone, kind of really working to be efficient inside the red zone. And the drill that I was watching in particular that I want to mention was inside the 5. They had wide receivers really working on catching passes to the back of the end zone at the corner pylon, making that catch on some token defense, but also working on some inside slant moves as well. You know, and I think for wide receiver, especially playing on the outside, you got to be able to do both. And a guy that I thought looked really good in that, it shouldn't be any surprise, but that's Xavier Restrepo. You know, he's got really good footwork off the line. He seems very deceptive right when he meets his defender, and then he can kind of choose one way or the other. And certainly they know which way he's going on this particular drill, but you know, I just thought he looked really sharp in those drills and really got off the line. I think he's a guy, if you're looking for maybe some touchdowns, some more touchdowns inside the red zone, he might not be the obvious choice because he's not that big guy that can really just jump over everybody, but he's a guy that I think can get open, and then that's the most important thing. And I think, you know, that'll be something I'm going to be watching more of in spring practices and just kind of as the season goes. But just, can Xavier kind of really become this, you know, this really strong red zone threat, which I think he can be because of just how he's able to get open, and I think he's got some good strength and just his ability to catch the ball in different ways. I think he can maybe get some more touchdowns in the red zone for the Hurricanes this year. So when they were going up against the defense, first to start off with the drill, they were really working through some things. Dawson was really on them. He got animated at one point with the receiver. I didn't exactly hear what he was talking about or what he wanted, but just very, you know, showing a lot of emotion in terms of what he wanted from this group. So it's always fun to watch a drill on air or token defense, and then watch them go against defenses, which I saw later on. So they're basically trying to take what they learned in a drill, really apply it against the defense, and you see this all the time. It's just, I like when this happens. So Xavier did make a nice catch, a nice touchdown catch, and also a guy that did well too was Jacoby George. Actually had a drop. It looked like the ball went right through his hands, so it wouldn't technically be a drop, but went right through his hands. It felt like he should have definitely scored the touchdown, but he bounces back later and makes a nice touchdown catch on an inside slant move. So that was good to see from him, just to bounce back from that. And then another guy, you know, this guy is not maybe not one of those guys that you're thinking automatically is going to be one of their top guys this year, but he continues to score touchdowns, and that's freshman Nye Carr. He just does a really good job of coming down with the ball. Maybe he's not always open, but he's always in position to make a catch on these one-on-ones, and we saw it again today. Made a really nice catch there in the end zone during the red zone drill that I was talking about, and he just does a really good job of coming down with the ball. And I think that, you know, we certainly got to develop and get everything else right, but just that ability, that pass catching, true pass catching ability, definitely have seen that in these 2 weeks of spring practices, and we saw it. You know, he's a guy that scored a lot of touchdowns at the high school level, and you're seeing it translate in terms of his ability to make catches, some tough catches, which is what you want to see out of a wide receiver. Okay, so I touched on that, the tight end position. I touched on some nice plays that these guys made, and Elijah Arroyo, you know, he's a guy that been able to watch quite a bit, and it's great seeing him out here all the time, and that's good to see. Coming back from injury, disappointing year, and really hasn't gotten going in his career, you know, either playing behind a guy or just his injury situation. But, you know, he's definitely, I know he's got to be excited about this upcoming season, and he's done a nice job this spring. And I think the tight end position, you know, there was another guy, you know, I touched on Jacoby George, talking with Cam. There was a break where I saw, you know, Elijah going up to Cam as well, and those two were talking. So it's just good to see that connection. But I do think it's hard to have less production out of the tight end position from what Miami had last year. Certainly I think it affected their offense, but I definitely think they're going to have more production this year. They understand it's a point of emphasis, but these guys have got to make plays. I think Riley Williams being in year 2 will certainly help. Obviously the experience in Cam McCormick, but I think Elijah Arroyo's the big kicker there. I think he's the guy that can have a lot of catches. I think you could see him getting over that 20 catch mark. I think if he's fully healthy, I think there's no doubt he's capable of having a 30 catch season, which we've expected out of him based on some of the flashes he's shown as a young player. But certainly I'm going to show you guys position drills. If you've been following the channel, if you haven't yet, definitely go back and watch them. But I've done every position group so far with the position drills except for tight end, but I did focus on that today to go back with some other footage I've gotten in other practices, but just trying to provide as much as I can. So definitely stay tuned to the channel. That I'll be posting some drills on the tight end position, because I think it's very intriguing. Also, I think Elijah Lofton is a fun young player to watch. Again, this guy's in front of him, but he's making plays, and you know, even Raul Aguirre, actually the linebacker there, was talking about him and felt like, you know, Elijah, the guy making plays, but also a guy that was really quiet when he first stepped onto the field to start these first few practices. So that's gonna wrap it up pretty much for me. Not much on the defensive side of the ball. I didn't focus too much on that. I touched on some defensive backs and this one-on-one stuff. But I will say, you know, linebacker Wesley Bassane, good to see him back out at practice, was in a red non-contact practice jersey before, but he was in full pads today, so that was good to see. And then just another thing I want to touch base on, I don't have a lot of details. I asked after practice today, but I'm trying to get details on the spring game. It's going to be right in front of me here at Cobb Stadium, but just how many people are going to be allowed to go. It's certainly going to be, they're going to bring in some bleachers. I do know that and can report that they're going to bring in some bleachers, but as far as who can go and how many tickets, it's a free event, but I think tickets are going to be hard to come by. I don't know all the details and logistics, and the University of Miami has not released any information, you know, through their website or through a press release of what to expect on April 13th. But I do know that some people, some season ticket holders have been informed of what to expect and how they can get access to tickets there. So definitely stay tuned. I'll have more information on that. More information on practice, again, drop below on some comments, some positions that I haven't focused on, some guys I haven't talked about yet. There's a bunch of guys on the team. Obviously, I haven't gotten to everybody, but if you have any questions, comments, let me know what you think. Maybe you have some comments on the drills and maybe you're curious about them as well. But thanks for watching. Thanks for all your support. Really appreciate it. It means a lot to me. Hopefully you have a good rest of the day and take care.